You know, I feel like Elizabeth Taylor's seventh husband, you know. I know what to do. How do you make it different? 3 quick items. I encountered occasionally on the street Dick Rosset, who did a lot of street reporting in Washington. And for those of you, I'll see if I have my name tag. So, you know, in D.C., you need a different badge to get into every building. And over the years, the badge inflation got worse and worse and worse. And I carry them now. I was working today. And one day I was looking at Dick Rosset's chain around his neck. And he had this blue metallic thing. It looked like a GI's, you know, your life tag, your GI tag. I said, what the hell is that, Dick? What building? He said, it's my Fairfax County dog license. Dick, I want you to know the tradition goes on. This is for you. Tom O'Brien hired me at Mutual, and Tom O'Brien fired me. A quick story about that. He really was the worst boss I ever had in broadcasting. I was in the booth 2 minutes to a broadcast. O'Brien comes in, closed the door behind him, in the booth, leans over the counter and says, "You don't like it here, do you?" I was incredulous. I couldn't believe that he would, and it took me 5 or 10 seconds to figure out that he was just trying to screw with me, to make me screw up a newscast so he could fire me. And I became, you know, 2 red-faced Irish guys in the booth. I became so enraged. I tore off the headphones and went over the desk after him. And he saw what I was doing. He scuttled out of the booth and closed the door behind me. And I went back and I did the newscast. I was fired 2 or 3 days later. That's my O'Brien story. Okay. And here's the other story. Greg Hernandez. Greg's in the back. He was an editor at Mutual. I met him at Mutual. Greg wanted to go into broadcasting from the time he was a kid. And he went to high school in Brooklyn. It was a short subway ride into Manhattan. He talked some of the bigwigs at Channel 7 in New York into allowing him to come with a tape recorder and interview them for the high school newspaper or radio station or something. So he goes in there with his recorder and he interviews Bill Butel and was it Roger Grimsby? Together, the anchors at Channel 7 in New York. And during the course of the interview, the zany weatherman, Tex Antoine, pops in for a moment, tells a joke, leaves. Greg's in high school at the time, doesn't quite get the joke. 10 years goes by. Greg graduates from Syracuse, gets a small job in small town radio in upstate New York, finds himself at Mutual Broadcasting, and he's going through his old tapes. And he calls me over to his apartment. He says, listen to this. And he gives me the setup. He's interviewing Bill Butel and Roger Grimsby, and Tex Antoine comes in and tells a joke. This is the joke that was on the tape. Antoine comes in and says, just interrupts the interview. You know, a Roman soldier heard about the Savior. He's walking along the roads in Jerusalem, and he finds Christ on the cross. And he looks up. He's horrified. He says, "Who did this to you?" Christ looks down and says, "O'Brien." 10 years later, we got the joke.